What's up, YouTube? Welcome to Disc Golf Nerd Plastic Podcast. I have a little bit of a departure here for you guys. I actually wanted to do a recap of the American Disc Golf Tour coverage that was on ESPN3 today. I took some screenshots during the coverage. I wanted to kind of talk about some of the stuff that happened during the broadcast, give you guys my thoughts on it. So, unlike the other episodes here for the podcast that I'm doing on this channel, there is some visuals, just, screenshots that I'm going to click through and show you guys some stuff. But it's a lot of audio as well, so you could listen to it, you could watch it. The choice is up to you. So there's been a ton of controversy surrounding this event, and I figured now that it happened and I was able to watch the entire thing live, I might as well give you guys my thoughts on it and kind of how it all went down. And what I thought of it, I guess. Hopefully this is all considered fair use because I'm using these screenshots to be able to review and recap the content. See what happens with that. But yeah, I basically just took some screenshots during the coverage of different moments that I wanted to be able to recap and just chat about with you guys. And then, of course, leave in the comments what you guys thought, especially if you watched the coverage. You can go back and watch it now if you didn't get the chance to. I believe the replay is available. I was able to watch it live, straight through. So yeah, a ton of controversy surrounding the Salient Discs company and also the American Disc Golf Tour event. I don't want to get into any of that stuff because I don't really have any first-hand experience with it. There's plenty of information out there if you guys want to know why people had so much issue with this event. I did think it was kind of weird. They posted something recently talking about how they're the foremost tour in disc golf, which I think is absolutely embarrassing for them to say. First, it's just ridiculous. Obviously not. They're obviously not the foremost tour in disc golf, so I think that was a really bad move to put that out there because it just made them look really silly. They also made some comment about how their commercials are going to be higher quality than other broadcasts, which I don't think is really that big of an issue. I don't want to watch commercials at all, so I don't care if your commercials are better in your eyes. But even in terms of that, I think the commercials that are played on Smashbox are much more relevant to disc golfers than the car commercials that they mostly played during this event. They also played a lot of commercials for 6 holes of golf. They played a bunch of commercials, and it took quite a while to get through these 6 holes. They really took their time getting through everything. But they did want to make sure that all the shots, were covered, although they didn't get the best footage of all the shots. And then they also made some kind of comment about, other broadcasts showing the players walking around in the fairways and stuff, and how they're going to show, commercials instead. And that's not exactly what happened. They definitely showed plenty of footage of people who weren't throwing, whether they were walking down the fairway. They also were kind of confused as to who was going to go next, who was out certain times. So they were showing Ricky thinking that he's next to putt when he was just basically assessing his lie, and he was definitely not next to putt, stuff like that, where it was kind of weird. So let's get into the screenshots and talk about some stuff. So here's Michael Joe. The card was Michael Johansson, Devin Owens, Barry Schultz, and Ricky Wysocki. Ricky had a lead going into these final 6 holes for the live coverage. Billy Crump was the commentator. You guys may know Billy Crump from the old Clash DVDs that he used to put out. I'm not sure where what the deal is with Clash these days, if he's still making DVDs or not. I know he's, as far as I know, he's definitely not out filming stuff still, but I don't know if he still produces the Clash DVDs. But if he doesn't, I'd really like to see him or somebody else do something with that footage and turn it into YouTube content that we could watch, because he's got a bunch of great action that's not a lot happening with it right now. But Billy did a good job. They knew what they were going to get when they hired Billy for the job. He has some kind of silly catchphrases that he throws out there. He said "butta" a couple times when people were putting, as he likes to do, and various kind of somewhat goofy sayings that he uses. But all in all, I think I find Billy to be a pretty lovable character, and he didn't bother me. I think he did a good job all in all. Several times he referenced that this is difficult and this is their first time doing it, to kind of talk about the, some of the challenges they faced with mic issues and stuff like that. The weird thing was that Barry Schultz, who you'll see here trying to get into position, he actually slipped and fell right here in the rough. Here's Barry tapping out from that position after laying up. Barry Schultz actually was basically pulling double duty, so he was on the card. He was in fourth by many strokes to Devin Owens, and he was also a co-commentator. So he was talking on on a wireless mic, to Billy, and there was definitely some issues with that, where Billy, there was a lag or something between their communications. Also, the mic kind of had some issues, but that kind of technical stuff could happen to anybody. But Barry is working really hard out there. His commentary was solid. The interplay between Barry and Billy was good. They have a rapport, so all that was good. And yeah, Barry was working his ass off out there. He was running around. At one point, the mic cut out, so he actually ran up to the commentary booth to give some comments, and then ran back down to throw his next throw and stuff like that. So he was working really hard and really trying his best to make this as good as he can make it. So hats off to Barry for putting in a lot of effort. Here's Rick throwing up a putt. You'd think this went in, but it didn't. Ricky actually struggled a little bit, bogeyed this hole, and then went OB twice on the next one, and really coughed up a big lead and whittled it down to 1 over Michael Johansson. But he was able to rally with 2 back-to-back birdies after that, and picked up a couple extra strokes, and continued to do that for the rest of the round, and won by a few when it was all said and done. Here's Devin throwing a shot with the scoreboard in the back here, and it's going to be a major talking point of this coming up. So here are these 2 girls, seemingly from a local Hooters, that were in charge of carrying the very official leaderboard here. That was basically a dry erase board, like duct taped to some type of extendable aluminum pole. It looked like something you'd use to like attach a roller to like paint the ceiling in your house or something. And yeah, this dry erase board was duct taped to it, and they had these 2 girls. First of all, let's zoom in here and just look at just how stoked this girl looks. She's just having the time of her life out there. Just looks so bored the whole time. They're just wandering around. I really don't know who came up with the idea of, hey, let's get a couple of local Hooters girls. Nothing against these girls. I mean, whatever. They probably got paid. Hopefully they got paid, and that's fine. But was this really a good idea, guys, to have a couple of girls from Hooters carry around a makeshift scoreboard? Was this necessary in any way? You could have just showed the graphic they had for the scores. This was completely unnecessary and really just ended up making the whole thing look a little bit stupid, in my opinion. The regular leaderboard they use during PDGA events is a million times more professional looking than this board. And just having girls in skimpy outfits, was that necessary? Just kind of ridiculous all around. So I think this is going to be a major talking point about this coverage and the event going forward. That's, again, nothing against these girls, whatever, they got paid, it's all good. But I just don't get it. I don't get that decision. That was really strange. Here's Barry trying to putt out from the OB here. Interestingly, the basket was right around here, just up to the right here on this slope, and they actually played to it from somewhere over here. And then Ricky went out of bounds twice. He went out of bounds up top above the basket, then it rolled down to kind of where Barry is, and then he put back and missed that one. So he took a huge number. Then they went up and played the same basket again from a different tee pad as another separate hole. So that was kind of weird and not something you'd see on other events. As far as I've never seen them do that before. Playing the same basket from a different location, but they were trying to keep it all centralized. So I guess that's what they felt like they needed to do, and they were interesting shots. Both of the shots were interesting. The course itself, let's go back to Barry here. The course itself was really pretty, very nicely manicured. It looked like a really high quality course, and the design they seemed to be playing, like the layout they were playing, looked really fun. There was a bunch of elevation, a lot of natural tee pads. They used the cart path on some of the tee pads. The baskets looked good. Like all that looked totally fine. It seemed like these guys had fun playing out on this layout, on this piece of property. Devin Owens hit a sweet ace in one of the earlier rounds that they showed. Like right when the broadcast came in, they did a recap. They talked about the earlier rounds, and they showed some highlights and stuff. That was all good. I liked all of that. But yeah, Barry missed his putt. He was kind of struggling again, doing double duty, running around trying to commentate and play, and it seemed like his focus was more on commentating. So here's something they did that I enjoyed. It was called Superstars of the Sport, and they cut away to it a few times where they showed a lot of the top men in disc golf history: Dave Greenwell, Barry Schultz, Ken Climo, Nate Doss, and Macbeth. And they put together a little piece for each guy, showing some shots and some still pictures. And Billy Crump did. He read a piece about each of them and all the tournaments they've won, and kind of just a little like player profile of the top players, men and women. So then for the women, they did Des Redding, who you see here, Elaine King, Juliana Korver, and Val Jenkins. And again, talked about their accolades and how long they've been playing and when they started and all that sort of thing. All that was cool. I liked it. It was well done. It was great to showcase some players of our sport that people might not be familiar with if they're finding the coverage and they're not already disc golfers. But I am a little bit curious to know like where they got all the footage that they used for these pieces and if they had rights to use the footage. And I'm also curious as to whether or not these players knew that this was going to be on the broadcast and if they had any ability to like be a part of the decision making. All that seemed a little bit iffy to me, and I'm interested to know if anything comes of that. But all in all, I liked these pieces, and I think it was a cool thing to be able to like showcase some of our top players. They also played a little clip about Steady Ed, the inventor of the basket, so that was cool. Here is Devin teeing off. You get a little bit sense of like what a lot of the tee pads look like. Just these little cones kind of designating a spot on the side of the fairway here as a natural tee pad. They also use the cart paths, I think, at times when they were able to. I would love, they did the live coverage. That was great. I would have loved for them to have like another crew out there filming full rounds so we can get a sense of the full layout. That would have been cool, but I don't know if there's some kind of conflict of interest with ESPN or whatever. And I get the feeling that they had to do a lot of different things based on meeting some kind of standard that ESPN set for them for this. Here's another look at the girls with the scorecard. Again, look at this girl on the right and just so stoked. She's just having so much fun. Sorry, I had to throw that in there. But yeah, just really silly scorecard and scoreboard. Not a fan. Here's Rick with his little brother caddying for him. Unfortunately, have that little press escape thing there. Here's another shot. I thought this was really cool that Rick used his little brother as his caddy. It must have been a really cool moment for the little dude to be on ESPN with his big brother winning and all that stuff. I think it's hilarious that the bag this little dude's carrying is like bigger than him. So that was awesome, and he just looked like mini Ricky out there with the hat and everything. I thought that was adorable, so I wanted to throw a shot of that in here. And here you can see Michael Joe rocking his umbrella because it was sunny out there and he was using that the whole round. And you can see them handing off the mic here for Barry to do his like in-between shot commentary. And you can see right here the wireless transmitter that he had clipped to him for the whole round, enabling him to talk to Billy. And I think he had like an earpiece in so he could hear Billy, or hopefully. Sometimes it seemed like they were having some issues with that. Here's one more shot. Rick and his little brother, and here's Rick tapping out for the win. The final hole was cool. It was a big shot over the water, and Ricky had a few strokes to play with, so he laid up, then he laid up again, and then he tapped in for the win. So he gave them absolutely no chance to catch him on that last hole. He just shut the door and showed that he knows how to win, so that was cool. Here's Rick shaking hands, and this gives you a sense of what it looked like out of full screen mode at least. And let's see here. Here's Rick getting some love from the little brother. I thought that was a cool shot. Another one of Ricky. And here is the leaderboard. So here, why not just show this graphic every now and again? And no need for those girls to be out there with that silly scoreboard. This is more than sufficient. I like this graphic. It looks clean. Looks like a standard golf graphic. No problem here. with the flag was moving in the background, and all this, going on behind it was all still live camera feed, so that was cool. You can see here, one of the other main talking points about this tour is that 1 through 4, you've heard of these guys, high level professionals in our sport, and I don't know who these other 4 dudes are. And again, no disrespect meant to these guys whatsoever, but they're not household names, they're not high level players, and it just seemed like basically a 4-man showcase. I don't think after the first round it must have just been this foursome throughout the whole rest of the tournament, because none of these other dudes are anywhere near him. I mean, 5th place is 25 strokes away from Rick, so I mean, just seemed very strange. There's basically a 4-horse race. Could have really, the whole tournament could have just been these 4 dudes. And not to disrespect the other guys, but they really didn't have a chance of competing with Ricky and Michael Joe and Devin. They're just, the level of play between them was just huge. One more shot of these girls actually smiling. Maybe they didn't have the worst time, but as bad a time as it seemed like they did. And here's Rick getting some interviews and after the round, which I thought he did well. And here's Barry interviewed after the round. You can see his earpiece here. You can see the sweaty hair from getting stuffed in that hat out there on the, running around doing some work. And I noticed too that if you zoom way in, wait, now it's off center. If you zoom way in, you can see Billy Crump in his glasses, so that's kind of cool. Get a little shot of Billy there for the interviews. And here, this seems to be about as many people as there were out following the whole event, give or take a few. And this shot here is why I left it in. This gentleman, I forget who he was, but he was doing the ceremonies at the end here. He did okay. He definitely wasn't the best on the mic, and I feel like they should just let Billy do this stuff. But this dude won in one of the amateur divisions. This guy won in the basically like the Masters amateur division. Even though it's called like senior and then experienced, or I don't know what, again, I don't know why they needed to change things like that, why they can't just go with normal kind of setup. And here's Rick hoisting the bucket that he won as his trophy. Cool moment for him. Everybody looks happy and all good. No problems there. I'm happy for Rick. He definitely wanted to win this thing and show everybody what he was about, and he was able to do that. Here's a shot that they cut to many times throughout the broadcast. And finally, this is a look from 18's tee pad with Rick thrown over the water, so you can see the green over here, the fairway rather, land over here, and then the bucket was off to the left here somewhere. So, yeah, Barry threw out a great shot on this one, a big rip, put him real close. He could have maybe ran it. I think he tried to give it half a go, see if he could throw one in and give everybody a show. And, him and Billy were funny together. They were kind of being lighthearted about Barry's less than stellar play out there. He was definitely seemed to be more focused on the broadcast than his throwing. So that's my little recap on the American Disc Golf Tour coverage. All in all, I think it was pretty good. Definitely some questionable decision making in the whole process, start to finish. Whether not even just the coverage, but the way they chose to run the event. Ultimately, ESPN3, it's pretty cool, but I think YouTube is, really a bigger platform all in all. And, it was a cool step to see us on ESPN3, but really I think there's more people watching YouTube than there is on, people watching ESPN3, to be fair. So hopefully, maybe one day we'll see disc golf on live TV. I'm not necessarily convinced that would be all that needed for our sport to continue and grow. YouTube is a huge market. There's a ton of eyes on it, and yeah, I don't know. That's a whole different topic for a whole other podcast, but I wanted to give you guys my thoughts on the American Disc Golf Tour. All in all, pretty solid. It ran, the stream ran smooth. Had no trouble with lagging or anything. The camera footage quality was good, even though the camera work wasn't perhaps all that great. I think people that were more experienced with disc golf do a better job. But we'll see what happens with this thing going forward. This could be a one-and-done situation. They might do it again next year and hopefully improve if that happens. That's my little video here for the podcast. Again, a little departure video, some stuff for you guys to take a look at. But, yep, thanks for listening, guys. I will talk to you guys soon. Cheers.